Hello and welcome to Aquarium Dilemmas. I'm your host, ScienceGal Aquatics. I'm Kerri, and this is my co-host,
Jesse.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. This is a great to be here. Sorry we've been a little late on this episode, but we're here, and that's all that matters. Our Wi-Fi got cut off from a storm, so we apologize for that, but we're here, so we're excited to talk with you this week.
Well, and this topic is really a topic and a dilemma all of its own,
Yes.
and it's really actually quite near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
The next generation.
It's very important to get your kiddos interested in the hobby so we can keep this hobby going. Having new interest in this hobby, and it's one of the most important parts, really, so we can keep the hobby growing and going into the future. So bringing the kiddos into it and seeing if they're interested in keeping fish, and maybe if you go to the pet store, if you don't keep fish and they kind of gravitate towards the aquarium side, just stop and kind of glance around and see if they're interested.
Well, and that's what I was going to go with. People that are listening to this particular type of information are probably already in the aquarium hobby.
Yeah.
But if you have a friend, a coworker, and their son or daughter is wanting to get into fish, I believe that they should try it together. And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with them learning together.
Yeah.
And it's the same as keeping a dog. You learn to feed, water, train, if you wish to train the dog.
Yes. Well,
All of that all goes together, and it's the same with your little glass box.
yes. It's very important to get new people in the hobby, and we say kids, but no matter the age, if you're new to fish keeping and you get bit by the aquarium bug and you go from 1 tank and maybe to 3 tanks and all of it, no matter your experience level, your age, it's just important to talk and promote this hobby to everyone so we can bring in new people for the longevity of the hobby and for the betterment of it.
Well, and it's the same as you basically did me. I'll use myself as being the big kid, because I am a big kid.
Yes.
I really am.
Me too.
I'm a very, very large child. I'm all over the place. When you started teaching me, it was the same as you would teach a child why we do the water changes, explain it to them. And she basically put me on a schedule of, okay, this is how often you feed them, and started me out small. We didn't jump right into, I got to do all my own water changes.
Well, and
So
when I first started having aquariums, when I moved in and we got together and all of that, you were supportive, but you didn't understand it. So you would help me just enough to be like, there, I helped you. But we just got back from a convention too, and I think going to those type of things really opened both of our eyes, and I fell deeper in love with the hobby, and you got bit by the bug of the hobby for the first time, and just that excitement of keeping something new was just exciting to watch. And when you wanted to, like, I tell you, it was something the first time you even wanted to feed the fish, because you never wanted to do that before. So like you said, kind of teaching you what I learned in the past, you don't have to feed them tons of food. A little bit throughout the day goes a long way. So it was just even starting off small with just feeding. And like our kiddos, they're not interested constantly in the tanks. But I would say one of the first things that they were interested in was feeding them. And I was excited that they wanted to do that. But as someone that wanted to teach them the importance of it, I have a few mishaps where they snuck down and they dumped everything into the tank, and I had to deal with all of that, of course. But they were showing interest. So I just wanted to stop and be like, okay, just do a little bit next time.
Well, and I think from both
and then
sides,
secretly inside like freak out.
Well, I think from both sides of the coin, whether you're way into the hobby or not way into the hobby, if they show interest, it is a way for you to even fine tune your own skills and hone your knowledge better, because there's nothing like teaching someone else. When you teach someone else what you know, you usually dive deeper into why you know it, how you know it, and you figure it out on a deeper personal level. And then you can instruct in a way, because I coached wrestling for years, you can instruct in a way that you're more focused on how they get to the end result, how they get to that point of being a better fish keeper than you actually.
Well, just doing this podcast together has I'm not the most experienced and I don't know everything by far, but even just doing this podcast and sharing what we know has made us a better fish keeper and look a little even further than we did before on certain things. That's really important, to keep learning and growing. And I'm just the type of person, when I like to research and learn things, and when I see a new fish or something I just haven't seen before, I'm really curious about it and I dive a little deeper. But there was a point, especially when I was a younger fish keeper and the only instruction I had was my dad. He taught me a lot of things that were correct, but there was a few things that we just both didn't know. And in the time it is now, it's way easier to Google things than to beg your parents to take you to the library. He worked all day, he didn't want to do that. So we just we would chit chat with the local fish store. And, it's just through the years, the hobby, we have learned so much. Some things have always been there and I'm new to it. And then once I learned it, I went down the rabbit hole. But there's constantly new innovations of different research. I guess it's just more research on different species that we find and discover all the time, and that having new people come in and new minds start doing research on these different species is really important.
Well, and I also...
If that makes sense.
Yes. And I think that, the research and going back, you will start to research more no matter when the person in your life, and it actually could even be your significant other, your spouse, wants to try to get into the hobby. Don't bring them into the hobby for what necessarily, and unless that's what they want to. Kids generally, typically, quote unquote, want to be more like their parents.
Yeah, that's what they see every day when it comes to this.
And that's what they're familiar with. But kids at the same time are also, if you take them to a show or anything, they're not scared of anything unless you've already predetermined them to be scared of something.
Well,
they're not scared of anything. It doesn't matter. That they want to try everything unless they're old enough and you've been saying the whole time, I don't like this one particular fish, or I don't like snakes.
Yeah.
Then they'll say they don't like snakes. But if you never say that, kids will go up and they're not afraid of anything.
Well, and it's always
their
fun.
minds are literally open.
Yeah, and it's really fun to watch. I know from our kids, just watching them, they started off with really being curious about feeding. But we have our girl, she really is curious in the scaping of the she really likes to arrange it and make it look real pretty.
She likes to play with rocks and plants.
Yeah, and the other one, the little boy, he really likes to go out and hunt and find things for the aquarium. He really likes to go out now. And if he sees a rock, he'll bring it to me like, this is for your aquarium, Mom. So it's really cute. And just like adults, just like us, when we go to different things, you gravitate towards stuff and I gravitate towards other things. And we work together as a team now for the fish room, but it's just curious to see what they like. And I don't, even with you, I didn't push you to go to the fish store with me and constantly look at things. I would just kind of have you help me here and there, and I think you would kind of catch a glimpse of something and be like, oh, that was kind of cool. But we went to a show, and you went to a Primetime Aquatics' fish room. You can find them on YouTube. And you really liked the equipment and some of the plants, and I think that's what gravitated towards you. So I didn't push you, but it's just like the kids, there's going to be something that might pull you in a little bit quicker over something else. And it's just fun to kind of, if you wanted to go to the fish store, of course you would go and you would walk around with me, but you never looked at the tanks and the stock and what they have and like you do now.
Well, yeah. And the other part is the aquarium hobby. There's so many different aspects of it. There's people that just scape. Mm-hmm. There's
tons.
There's people that just grow plants. There's people that just breed fish. There's people that do community tanks. There's people that just do predator tanks, saltwater, freshwater. I mean, the list is endless. It just goes and goes and goes and goes. You can't stop it. Mm-hmm. There's something out there for everyone. So if your child or your significant other shows interest, it may not be the same interest that you have. However, with an open mind, you could learn about their interest. If they're like, hey, Dad, for me, for instance, Dad, I would like to try to raise this, or I would like to try to grow this plant. Then that's just, and I go, well, I know nothing about this plant. Mm-hmm. We can do, it's something we can do together. Mm-hmm. And I'm gaining knowledge, they're gaining knowledge, and it can be, and if it's successful, and a lot of times it won't be, but if you try again, and then it may be, mm-hmm. It's something to keep passing down. Mm-hmm. And if you teach them that little bit of lesson that there's so many different things, and you're willing to learn with them, mm-hmm. That is what's going to keep the hobby moving forward and the wonderful community that it is right now.
Yeah. But you do, I know I get phone calls from my sister, and she's way newer to fish keeping than I am. And a couple of her friends too. They have a small little, I think it's 10-gallon tank, and they've had some issues here and there, and I've definitely helped walk them through it. But coming into an aspect like that where their kiddos wanted, like we said earlier, they went to the store, the kiddos wanted some fish. They probably set up, which, well, I know they did. They set up the tank the same day. They got the little gravel, and the kids had fun setting it up, but they put everything in the same day. And so if they do show interest and you're yourself new to the hobby, it is important to learn about what you're keeping, because just like you said earlier, a dog, a cat, or whatever animal you keep, fish are no different. I think they're easier to keep than most, and some get intimidated, I think, when you start talking about water chemistry and water parameters, and they just want to keep a couple little molly fish or a couple little guppies. But it is really important that you can't, just like any other pet, you need to be responsible and know the basics, know the nitrogen cycle, know why you shouldn't do certain things, so your kids don't fall in love with the fish, and at midnight they're in tears crying because little Johnny is, and you don't want to get them attached. And same with me. I get it super attached, and I would be no different. But you don't want to get them super attached to that very first fish in that very first tank and know nothing about what you're doing. And a lot of people, I think, do get intimidated when they start reading about all this stuff, and that's why they get frustrated because everything keeps dying. They keep rushing to the fish store when the kiddos are sleeping or something to kind of swap fish out so they don't see it. And then you get so frustrated that the tank just disappears one day, and then the kid's interest is no longer really there, and you're just too frustrated to try anymore. So really taking that initiative, if maybe they are curious about it and they do want to go pick out a fish, do a little bit of research beforehand so you both can fall in love with the hobby and you don't set yourself up for those tears that no parent wants to go through.
Well, I think the research part is a really good aspect. You kind of,
because if you're talking about aquarium plants, yeah, you're
you
probably
touched on it.
fish
No,
already.
you touched on it really well, but it's research. Anybody that goes to get a specific dog, they've already researched it.
Well, I wouldn't say all, but
almost everybody.
Responsible ones, yes.
Even people that go, let's say you go to get a rescue dog from the pound, they already have a particular type of breed they're looking for. It doesn't have to be a purebred, quote unquote. But
typically, but not.
But they're looking for a friendly dog. I need it to be about this size.
Yeah.
I needed to have this demeanor. I prefer it to have this color. Blah blah. So right there, they've already done like all the things we talk about tank size, about all that. They're picking this. They've already researched. They already kind of know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
I think the misconception with fish tanks is either they think it's super easy and we can just go get it, set it all up in one day, or they think it's super hard and they can't do it.
Yeah.
I think that is the exact coin right there. There's no in between, and there is a big in between, and the big in between is huge.
Yeah.
It is actually quite easy.
Yeah, you just got to know a little bit of basics, and
basics and
sometimes
patience.
There's some fancy words involved, but at the heart of it, it's not very hard. And usually, for my case, if I just set it up and leave it alone and not over clean it, and usually when I get my hands in that tank too much and I do try too hard, that's when I have problems. So if you just know just some underlying basic things about the nitrogen cycle and why you want to do water changes and why there's just some basic things that goes a long way, and it will help you in the future.
And if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. My motto is less is more.
And I know I used to go, my dad kept fish, so I just came into the hobby when I was born, and I just really liked going to the local fish store. And I've talked about this a lot, but where the kiddos are more interested in the rocks and the escaping things now because they see us do that. At the time when I was smaller, we didn't do that. We had like the under gravel filter, and we had the different color pebbles, substrate, and plastic. We had tons of plastic plants that no wonder they weren't the best for long flowy fins, but I really liked going and picking out really pretty fish, and there is no rhyme or reason to anything, but it worked. And he did teach me a lot, but there was a lot of things I wish someone would have told me, and it wasn't that it was being kept from me. We just had no idea. So when I stumbled upon the community and that tons of other people keep fish and there's all this stuff that you can learn, it really helps. So I really hope that I can pass that on to the kiddos, and whether they keep a fish room like us or maybe just one tank in the future, I hope that we can give them enough information just in passing and watching and helping here and there, but not really, let's come help me do water changes right now. I just want to wait till they kind of you can catch them every once in a while coming in and just checking on the guppies, and it's really cute.
And I'm the big kid again, except for I'm a big kid in the old way. I don't go on Google every time. I ask you.
Yeah, and I don't know everything.
And then you research it. I don't actually research everything. I do most of my research by my own observations and things that I have personally done, whether it be right or wrong. If it's wrong, I'll tell you it's wrong.
Yeah.
I have no problems going, well, that did not work at all.
I have these ideas sometimes that just don't work out. And at the time, I think they're just the greatest. But sometimes the best lessons learned is through a mistake, and especially if you learn from your mistakes together.
Well, and that's the part of it, especially if you're new to it and your child or significant other, whatever, is wanting to get into it. You're going to have mistakes. Yeah. Don't let that be the reason that tank mysteriously has to move and go away.
Yeah, and sometimes,
Especially in today's world and a lot of the stuff out there is 100% true. Some of it is kind of a little jaded one way or the other, but you can sort through it and filter through it on your own. And if you have any common sense, you'll be able to go, well, okay, well, that kind of fits for me and this kind of fits for me. So there's a middle ground there and you can make it work.
yeah, and there's just like even going to the creek together. We take the kids to the creek in the summertime a lot, and we take the little aquarium nets from the fish room and we don't keep anything typically, but we'll go catch little things with the aquarium nets, and then they'll be like, what kind of fish is this? And what kind is this? And blah, blah. And it's really fun. And it makes them, it's not necessarily keeping fish in the fish room, but it's getting them interested in ecology and
biology
and all
and
of
chemistry.
that stuff. And maybe in time they might not keep fish right now, but hopefully they can fall in love with it just a little bit, that if they want to go do something, whether it's fishing or keeping fish or whatever it is outside, we can just make them have that little bit of love for learning about this stuff. So if they do want to keep it, they're not intimidated by some of the things, and they'd be like, oh, that might sound hard, but that's not hard at all. Or I understand that just a little bit easier. So,
well, I guess the main goal even of this whole podcast and everyone tuning in, thank you for listening, is just to spread the love about this.
Yeah.
And we call it dilemmas because there's always good and bad in the fish keeping world.
Yeah.
And being new to it or not new to it, you're still going to have hiccups no matter what.
Yeah. And one of the things about this hobby I love so much, a lot of the information has been around. It hasn't changed much. Some of the books that you can read were written in the 70s, 80s, and the information's still good. And then at the same time, there's topics that it might be every other day. It's changing and learning new things just a little bit every day. So when you find something, a little aspect of the hobby, whether it's plants or just whatever it is, just the fish themselves, the water chemistry, even for you, it was just the back, like the plumbing, the maintenance and the equipment of the tanks. There's usually something in there that might just strike their interest just a little bit more that can bring them in, because this hobby is really important to me and I would love to keep it going. And you can learn from someone that's been in the hobby for 80 years plus, or someone that might have just been in the hobby a year or so. There's so many different places that you can learn and people that you can learn from, that it's important to bring new people in, because you never know what kind of information they might learn to share on with us.
Well, and with today's technology, everything is so much closer to your fingertips. And with the aquarium hobby, I think the word we've been looking for this whole time is it's very diverse.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
a diverse community.
But that's the reason going to like the clubs and kind of doing some extra things on the side. I fell in love with this hobby, and a lot of the time I was by myself and I was alone and I didn't reach out. I didn't even know there was a community there to reach out to. But now that I do, some of those, well, I wouldn't even say some, all of the people that give lectures for your clubs, they might not be so like online and writing things, but what they have to say, you might not find anywhere. So, yes, you can find golden pieces of information online. You can have wonderful conversations with people. There's a world out there and so many fish keepers out there that I'm excited, because I never knew that for such a long time. But it is equally important to bring new people into this hobby, but not only to bring them in, but to tell them, to show them, to give them the opportunity to learn in some way, that there's a few things that will help you, and then let them...
For them to learn and you to educate them, but at the same time, you're actually educating yourself as well.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
Even further into the hobby. So I think it's kind of a dual fold thing, and it works so well because it has worked very, very well for Kerri, for ScienceGal. It is quadrupled what she knows.
Yeah.
And it has brought me up to speed and sent me down a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And then while she's dragging me down one rabbit hole, I'm dragging her down a different rabbit hole.
I had no idea. Like, there's people that are specialized in scapes, shrimp. They're specialized in certain types of species. Then there's people that it seems like they have every fish they just know about every fish that exists, it seems like. So there's specialties, and then there's people that try to keep all kinds of things, or maybe they have a fish store, and there's so many people out there, and you can get super specific on just plecos or shrimp, or you can guppies. Like, I really
even
love,
cichlids. You can get specific on just like one type of cichlid. You can do just Lake Tanganyikan cichlids or Lake Malawi. African cichlids only.
Yeah. But at the same time, there's people out there that if you're wanting to keep a really beautiful planted community tank, that they can tell you all kinds of things to help that community tank grow and mature. And it's beautiful for many generations. So no matter what you like, it seems like there's a place to go to learn about it.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question there.
And I think that getting kids into the hobby is a wonderful thing to do. And fish keeping, I think, sometimes gets a little underrated over the popularity of cats and dogs, which I understand why. I have cats and dogs and I love them greatly. But it just seems like sometimes fish get a little overlooked. But I am surprised to know how many people do keep fish. And I'm lucky to know that now, because it's changed everything. But getting the kiddos, or just new people from work, or your best friend, if you keep fish and they don't, just kind of get them interested. I have clients at the salon that never kept fish until I started FishTube. And got into the fish fam on YouTube. So now they keep fish and they're getting into the community a little bit too. So just talking about it, and as you talk about it, tell them, hey, just, read about the nitrogen cycle, or read about,
or just check this out. Just leave it open-ended. Check this out.
Just spread the word, and getting new people and new generations and keeping it going is really important. And I can't say that enough, that going to these conventions and seeing how the kiddos are super excited about the scape offs, or coming up and seeing them want to win a tank at a raffle and they're super excited about escape or a little fish, and just seeing that just excitement in their eyes is really exciting to see. And I hope we help just a little bit in getting some new people into the hobby and teaching them the right way.
I know we started out,
I guess there's no right way, but some interesting tidbits of information.
I know we started out with kids, but I believe when they show interest, no matter how young they are, or how old they are, and they don't have to be kids. Yeah. That's the great thing about this hobby. Yeah. You can do this your entire life, almost, no matter what if you have limitations, don't have limitations.
Yeah, my dad had a brain injury, and he got me into this hobby, and I will always be grateful for that. But my mom wasn't so into the hobby, and when he got sick, there was a period for a long time that he didn't keep tanks. And we set him up one, and he loves his angelfish and neon tetra together, so he just loves it. That's what he keeps, and it surprisingly works for him in some way. But it drastically improved just his excitement in the day. He had something to wake up to and check on and feed. And he does overfeed, and he does do a few things. But in the end of the day, him having an aquarium has benefited greatly, and just having him something to watch. And he's got a brain injury, and he can't use his left arm and leg, and we help, and my mom helps with water changes and maintenance, but it has drastically improved, and just getting him back into the hobby has made him happier.
Well, it changed his whole demeanor and everything. So, I mean, the fish hobby, as we're talking, it's almost limitless on
It's
what.
very therapeutic.
Yeah, that's
I
a
used
great
big
word.
I used a good word.
It is, and it's limitless on the direction you can take it. So it can morph into anything you want it to be.
Yes. Well, I guess on that note, do you have anything else to say?
No, I do not.
Well, thank you so much for listening. And if you want to watch this podcast episode, you're always invited to check out ScienceGal Aquatics. In the memberships, it's 99 cents to watch this, but we greatly appreciate you just being here and listening. And you're always invited also to check out ScienceGalAquatics.com for more information over some fish that we keep and also some merchandise that's over there.
Oh yeah,
So
you got
check
great
that out.
you got great blog
And
posts on there about the
we're
fish.
excited that we do have a few more fish convention and some fish trips coming up. So if you want to check out where you can meet us and you want to check out a show again or for your first time, you can check out our schedule there on where you can find us next. But until the next one.
Until the next one, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening.
Watching and listening. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.